The Fallen Alliance, the Coalition's last stand. The emergency beacon cut through space like a scream of dying stars. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Phoenix, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the massacre unfolding in the Kepler system. What had once been the greatest fleet in galactic history was now nothing more than burning debris scattered across the void. "Captain, we're receiving multiple distress signals," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim, her fingers dancing across the communications console. "The entire Coalition fleet appears to be destroyed or retreating." Elena's jaw tightened. The Galactic Coalition had deliberately excluded Earth from their final battle against the Void Hunters, claiming that humanity was too young and inexperienced to participate in such a crucial operation. They had called humans upstart primitives, who would only get in the way. Now those same proud species were begging for help. "How many survivors?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the chaos displayed before them. 17 ships out of 3,000, Kim replied, her voice barely a whisper. "Coalition Command estimates 90% casualties." The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship's engines. Elena had served in the Earth space, Navy for 15 years, working her way up from a junior officer to captain of one of Earth's most advanced vessels. She had seen battles before, but nothing like this. The Void Hunters were not just another enemy, they were something far worse. "Ma'am, incoming transmission from Admiral Thane Coral's flagship," announced Communications Officer David Park. Elena nodded. She knew Coral by reputation, a proud Centauri warrior, who had publicly dismissed humanity's military capabilities just months ago. "Put him through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the battered bridge of a Coalition Dreadnought. Admiral Coral appeared on screen, his usually pristine blue uniform torn and stained with purple blood. His forearms moved frantically as he tried to coordinate the retreat of his remaining forces. "Captain Vasquez," Coral said, his voice strained. We need Earth's assistance. The Void Hunters have technology beyond our understanding. They're not just attacking our ships, they're consuming them, learning from each vessel they destroy." Elena leaned forward in her command chair. "Admiral, 3 days ago your government's representative told the Earth Council that humans were, quote, barely evolved apes playing with dangerous toys. Why should we risk our people for a coalition that has shown us nothing but contempt?" Coral's expression shifted from desperation to something resembling shame. "Because, Captain, we were wrong. The Void Hunters have been studying our species for centuries, preparing for this moment. They know everything about our weapons, our tactics, our weaknesses, but they don't know anything about humanity. You're our only hope." Earth's hidden strength. Far beneath the surface of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Admiral Sarah Jackson stood in the command center of Facility Omega. For 12 years she had overseen Project Titan, Earth's most classified military program. While the Galaxy Coalition had dismissed humanity as primitive, Earth's greatest minds had been working in secret. "Admiral, we're receiving confirmation from Captain Vasquez," reported Colonel Michael Torres, the facility's operations commander. "The Coalition fleet has been destroyed. The Void Hunters are advancing toward the core systems." Jackson nodded, her silver hair reflecting the blue glow of the holographic displays surrounding her. At 62, she had dedicated her life to preparing for this moment. The Galaxy Coalition's arrogance had actually been a blessing in disguise, allowing Earth to develop its defenses without interference or observation. "How many Dreadnoughts are combat ready?" she asked. "All 37, Admiral. The crews have been running combat simulations for months. They're ready." Jackson smiled grimly. Each Earth Dreadnought was a marvel of human engineering, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from ancient artifacts discovered in the depths of Earth's oceans. While other species had built larger ships, humans had focused on efficiency, adaptability, and raw firepower. "Signal all Dreadnought commanders," Jackson ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." The Void Hunters, ancient, hunger in the dark reaches of space beyond the Kepler system. The Void Hunter flagship Eternal Hunger drifted like a massive predator. The ship was not built, it was grown. its organic hull pulsing with dark energy that seemed to devour light itself. At its heart, Zixara the destroyer stood in the central consciousness chamber, connected to the ship through tendrils of living metal. Zixara had existed for over 50,000 years, leading the Void Hunters in their endless quest to consume and perfect themselves through the destruction of other species. The Galactic Coalition had provided excellent data. Their technologies and tactics were now part of the Void Hunter collective consciousness. "The Coalition forces have been absorbed," reported one of Zixara's lieutenants, its voice echoing directly into the commander's mind. "Their genetic and technological signatures are being integrated into our database." "Excellent," Zixara replied, its ancient mind processing the new information. "The galaxy has grown weak and predictable. Their reliance on energy shields and plasma weapons makes them easy prey. Soon, all sentient life will serve our purpose." But something unexpected appeared on the consciousness chamber's displays. New energy signatures were emerging from the human home system signatures that didn't match any known technology in the Coalition database. "What are these vessels?" Zixara demanded, its attention focusing on the strange readings. "Unknown, ancient, 1. The signatures suggest advanced defensive capabilities, but the design philosophy is completely alien to us. These ships were not built by any species in our database." For the first time in centuries, Zixara felt something it had almost forgotten: uncertainty. The Phoenix's Discovery Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the Phoenix's analysis lab, studying the data her ship had collected from the battlefield. What she saw defied everything humanity thought they knew about the Void Hunters. "Captain, these readings don't make sense," said Dr. James Patterson, the ship's chief science officer. "The Void Hunter ships aren't just using advanced technology, they're using living technology. Their hulls appear to be composed of some kind of organic metal that can adapt and repair itself in real time." Elena studied the holographic display showing the molecular structure of debris recovered from destroyed Coalition ships. "That explains how they've remained undefeated for so long. Every battle teaches them something new, makes them stronger." "There's more," Patterson continued. "I've detected traces of Coalition technology integrated into the Void Hunter ship hulls. They're not just destroying their enemies, they're absorbing them, making their knowledge part of themselves. The implications were terrifying. If the Void Hunters could absorb and integrate the technology of every species they encountered, how could they possibly be defeated?" "Dr. Patterson, have you analyzed the quantum resonance patterns in these samples?" Elena asked, remembering something from her days at the Earth Naval Academy. "Not yet, Captain. Why?" "Run a comparison with the archaeological findings from the Mariana Trench expedition. There might be a connection we haven't considered." As Patterson worked, Elena's communicator chimed with an encrypted message from Earth Command. The message was brief but changed everything. "Project Titan is go. Rendezvous at coordinates Tango 77. Prepare to witness humanity's answer to the galaxy's arrogance." The Dreadnoughts emerge. Commander Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the EDS Leviathan, the flagship of Earth's Dreadnought fleet. The massive vessel measured 3 kilometers in length and was armed with weapons that no other species had ever seen. Unlike the elegant curves favored by Coalition shipbuilders, the Leviathan was angular and intimidating, its dark hull covered in armor plating that seemed to absorb scanner beams. "All Dreadnoughts report ready, Commander," announced his first officer, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Rodriguez. "We have 37 ships ready for combat operations." Chen nodded, his eyes scanning the tactical display. Each Dreadnought carried a crew trained specifically for this moment. While the Galaxy Coalition had dismissed Earth's military as primitive, human tacticians had been studying every available piece of data about advanced alien warfare for decades. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Captain Vasquez aboard the Phoenix," Rodriguez reported. "Put her through." Elena's face appeared on the main screen, her expression serious. "Marcus, we've discovered something important about the Void Hunters. They absorb and integrate the technology of species they defeat. That's how they've become so powerful." "Understood, Elena. Does this change our tactical approach?" "It might actually work in our favor. They've never encountered human technology before." Our weapons and defensive systems are based on completely different principles than anything in the Coalition database. Chen smiled grimly. Then it's time to give them a proper introduction to human ingenuity. The Void Hunters surprised Zixara's consciousness expanded as it analyzed the approaching human fleet. The ships were unlike anything in the Void Hunter database, crude by Coalition standards, but there was something unsettling about their energy signatures. Ancient One, the human vessels are not responding to our infiltration protocols, reported a lieutenant. Their computer systems appear to be completely isolated from external networks. Impossible. All advanced species use networked computing systems for efficiency. Not these humans, Ancient One. Each ship appears to operate independently, with no centralized network we can penetrate. Zixara's ancient mind processed this information. The Void Hunters had conquered thousands of species by infiltrating their computer networks and turning their own technology against them. But if the humans had deliberately avoided this technological advancement, prepare the fleet for direct combat, Zixara commanded. It appears these primitives will require a more traditional approach. As the human dreadnoughts approached, their formation was unlike anything the Void Hunters had encountered. Instead of the predictable battle lines favored by the Coalition, the human ships moved in a complex three-dimensional pattern that made it impossible to predict their next action. The final approach, Admiral Jackson's voice crackled through the communication channels connecting all Earth vessels. This is Admiral Jackson to all Earth forces. Today, we fight not just for humanity but for every species that has fallen to the Void Hunters' hunger. We may be the newcomers to this galaxy, but we carry with us the accumulated wisdom and determination of our entire species. Captain Vasquez listened from the Phoenix's bridge as she watched the massive dreadnoughts take position around her smaller vessel. Each ship represented years of human innovation and preparation, built in secret while the galaxy dismissed Earth as irrelevant. Remember, Jackson continued, the Void Hunters have never faced an enemy they couldn't predict. They've absorbed the knowledge of every species they've encountered, but they know nothing about human creativity, human stubbornness, or human refusal to give up when faced with impossible odds. Elena smiled as she thought about her species' history. Humans had always been at their best when facing overwhelming challenges. From surviving ice ages to exploring space, humanity had always found a way to adapt and overcome. All ships prepare for engagement, Jackson ordered. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. As the two fleets approached each other in the dark void of space, the stage was set for a battle that would determine the fate of every civilized species in the galaxy. The Void Hunters had conquered thousands of worlds, but they had never faced an enemy quite like humanity. Dreadnoughts unleashed first contact with the ancient enemy. The space between the two fleets crackled with energy as the Void Hunter ships began their approach. Commander Marcus Chen watched from the Leviathan's bridge as the enemy vessels moved with fluid grace, their organic hulls shifting and adapting in real time. These weren't just ships, they were living weapons that had evolved over millennia of conquest. Enemy fleet is maintaining formation at 2 million kilometers, reported Tactical Officer Jennifer Walsh. Sensors are detecting massive energy buildups across their entire line. Chen activated the fleet communication system. All Dreadnought commanders, this is Leviathan Actual. Remember your training. These ships adapt to conventional tactics, so we're going to give them something they've never seen before. Execute pattern Delta on my mark. The 37 Earth Dreadnoughts suddenly broke formation, each ship moving in a seemingly random direction. To an outside observer, it would appear that the human fleet had lost all coordination. But this was exactly what Chen wanted the Void Hunters to believe. Zixara observed the human fleet's apparent disarray with satisfaction. The primitives panic in the face of our power, just like all the others. Begin the harvesting process. The Void Hunter ships unleashed their primary, weapon streams of dark energy that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. These beams had destroyed Coalition dreadnoughts with single hits, their power enhanced by the absorbed technology of countless conquered species. But as the dark energy beams reached the human ships, something unprecedented happened. The energy simply disappeared, absorbed into the Dreadnought's hulls like water soaking into sand. Impossible. Zixara's mental scream echoed through the Void Hunter fleet. How are they absorbing our primary weapons? The secret of human technology deep within the Leviathan's engineering section, Chief Engineer Dr. Angela Morrison monitored the exotic matter reactors that powered the ship's revolutionary defensive systems. The technology was based on artifacts, recovered from Earth's deepest ocean trenches, artifacts that predated human civilization by millions of years. Hull absorption at 97% efficiency, Morrison reported to the bridge. The quantum dampening fields are holding steady. The secret wasn't just advanced technology, it was a completely different approach to energy manipulation. While other species had focused on generating more powerful weapons, humans had learned to redirect and absorb energy, turning their enemies' strength against them. Commander Chen, Morrison's voice came through the intercom. We're not just absorbing their weapons, we're storing the energy. Our offensive capabilities are increasing with every shot they fire at us. Chen smiled grimly. Understood, Chief. All ships execute Phase 2. Let's return their hospitality. The seemingly scattered Earth dreadnoughts suddenly revealed their true purpose. They had positioned themselves in a perfect three-dimensional sphere around the Void Hunter fleet, with each ship's absorbed energy creating a massive gravitational field. The ancient enemy found themselves trapped in a cage of pure force. The Coalition's Redemption Admiral Thane Corral watched from his damaged flagship as the human fleet executed maneuvers that defied everything he understood about space combat. The 17 surviving Coalition ships had formed up behind the Earth forces, their crews working desperately to repair their vessels. Admiral, called his communications officer, Captain Vasquez is requesting permission to coordinate our remaining forces with her tactical plan. Corral's pride warred with necessity. The Centauri had led the Coalition for over 2 centuries, their military traditions dating back to when they first achieved faster-than-light travel. To take orders from a species that had barely reached the stars seemed unthinkable. But as he watched another wave of Void Hunter energy weapons harmlessly absorbed by the human ships, he realized that pride was a luxury he could no longer afford. Grant her request, Corral ordered. Patch me through to Captain Vasquez. Elena's face appeared on his screen, her expression focused but determined. Admiral, we need your ships to execute a synchronized attack on the Void Hunter command vessel. Our scans indicate it's the central node controlling their entire fleet. Captain, our weapons were ineffective against their defenses during the first engagement. That was before we started sharing data, Elena replied. Our analysis shows that their adaptive hulls have a recharge cycle. If we time our attacks precisely, we can overwhelm their regeneration capabilities. Corral looked at his tactical display. The plan was audacious and required split-second timing. What do you need from us? Trust, Elena said simply. Trust that humanity knows what we're doing. Zixara's ancient rage. The Void Hunter commander struggled against the gravitational cage surrounding the fleet. In 50,000 years of conquest, Zixara had never encountered an enemy that could neutralize their primary advantages so completely. Report, the ancient being commanded. Our weapons are ineffective against their absorption fields, came the reply. However, we are detecting familiar energy signatures within their hulls. These humans have somehow acquired ancient technology that predates our own species. The revelation sent shockwaves through Zixara's consciousness. The technology the humans were using belonged to the predecessors, the mysterious species that had vanished from the galaxy millions of years ago. The Void Hunters had searched for predecessor artifacts for millennia, believing they held the key to ultimate power. How did these primitives acquire predecessor technology? Zixara demanded. Unknown, Ancient One, but they are using it in ways we never considered. Instead of trying to harness its destructive power, they have learned to use it defensively, creating perfect counters to our weapons. For the first time in its ancient existence, Zixara felt something approaching fear. The humans weren't just fighting with superior technology, they were fighting with superior understanding. The final gambit captain, Elena Vasquez, stood on the Phoenix's bridge, coordinating the combined human and coalition attack. The gravitational cage was holding, but she knew it couldn't contain the Void Hunters indefinitely. They needed to end this quickly. "All ships, this is Phoenix Actual," she announced. "Intelligence indicates that the Void Hunter fleet operates through a collective consciousness centered on their command ship. If we can sever that connection, their coordination will collapse." Commander Chen's voice crackled through the comm system. "Understood, Captain. Leviathan is preparing to execute a close-range assault on the command vessel." "Negative, Commander. That ship is too heavily defended. We need a different approach." Elena had been studying the tactical display for the past hour, looking for any weakness in the Void Hunter formation. Then she noticed something that gave her an idea so audacious it might actually work. "All ships, prepare for synchronized resonance burst. We're going to use their own collective consciousness against them." Dr. Patterson looked up from his console in surprise. "Captain, that's theoretically possible, but the power requirements would be enormous. That's why we've been absorbing their weapon fire for the past 2 hours," Elena replied. "Every ship in our fleet is loaded with stored Void Hunter energy. We're going to broadcast it back at them, but modulated to disrupt their consciousness link. The tide turns." The plan was elegantly simple in concept but devastatingly complex in execution. Each Earth Dreadnought had been storing the energy from Void Hunter attacks, building up massive reserves of their own dark energy. Now, instead of using that energy for weapons, they would broadcast it as a signal designed to interfere with the Void Hunter's collective consciousness. "All ships report ready," announced Communications Officer Park. "Energy reserves at maximum capacity." Elena took a deep breath. "Execute resonance burst. All ships, all power, synchronized on my mark." She watched as the countdown timer reached 0. "Mark!" 37 Earth Dreadnoughts simultaneously released the stored Void Hunter energy, not as weapons but as a coordinated signal that struck at the very foundation of the enemy's shared consciousness. The effect was immediate and devastating. Across the Void Hunter fleet, ships began to drift aimlessly as their connection to the collective mind was severed. Individual Void Hunters, who had not operated independently for millennia, found themselves unable to coordinate their actions. Zixara's scream of rage and confusion echoed through space as the ancient being felt its connection to the fleet severed, for the first time in 50,000 years. "What have they done to us?" Coalition forces Rally Admiral Corral watched in amazement as the Void Hunter fleet fell into chaos. Ships that had moved with perfect coordination moments before now drifted without purpose, their crews struggling to remember how to function as individuals. "All Coalition forces, this is Admiral Corral," he announced. "The human strategy has worked. Enemy fleet is disorganized and vulnerable. All ships attack Pattern Omega. For every world they destroyed, for every life they took, make them pay." The 17 surviving Coalition ships, their crews inspired by humanity's example, threw themselves into the battle with renewed fury. Their weapons, previously ineffective against Void Hunter defenses, now found targets on ships whose adaptive hulls could no longer coordinate their defensive responses. Elena watched as Coalition plasma cannons and photon torpedoes tore through Void Hunter hulls that had seemed invulnerable just hours before. The key had been breaking their collective consciousness, reducing them from a perfect war machine to individual ships fighting alone. The ancient enemy false Commander Chen guided the Leviathan through the chaos of the disintegrating Void Hunter formation. His target cleared the massive command ship where Zixara fought desperately to re-establish control over the fleet. "All weapons target the command vessel's consciousness chamber," Chen ordered. "Let's end this ancient threat once and for all." The Leviathan's main batteries opened fire, each shot precisely targeted based on intelligence gathered during the battle. The stored Void Hunter energy, now converted into kinetic projectiles, struck the command ship's organic hull with devastating effect. Zixara felt each impact like a physical blow to its ancient consciousness. The human weapons were designed specifically to disrupt the bio-neural pathways that connected the ship to its commander. For the first time in 50 millennia, the ancient destroyer was truly alone. This is not possible, Zixara whispered into the void. We are the inheritors of the galaxy. We have consumed thousands of species. How can these primitives defeat us? But even as the ancient being asked the question, it knew the answer. The humans had succeeded where others failed because they hadn't tried to match the Void Hunter's strengths instead. They had found entirely new ways to fight. They had turned the enemy's greatest advantages into weaknesses. Victory and new beginnings, as the last void. Hunter's ship went dark, drifting lifeless in the gravity well created by the human fleet. A strange silence fell over the battlefield. For the first time in centuries, the ancient threat was truly gone. Admiral Jackson's voice filled the communication channels. All Earth forces, this is Fleet Command. The Void Hunter threat has been neutralized. Well done, people. You've just saved the galaxy. Captain Elena Vasquez felt the weight of exhaustion settling on her shoulders as the adrenaline of battle faded, but there was also something else, a sense of profound accomplishment. Humanity had proven itself not through conquest or domination, but through ingenuity and determination. Captain, Lieutenant Kim announced, we're receiving communications from across the galaxy. Word of the victory is spreading. Multiple species are requesting to open diplomatic relations with Earth. Elena smiled. Patch me through to Admiral Koral. The Centauri Admiral appeared on screen, but his demeanor had changed completely. The arrogance and condescension were gone, replaced by something Elena had never expected to see: respect. Captain Vasquez, Koral said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I offer our sincere apologies for our previous treatment of humanity. We were wrong about your species, wrong about your capabilities, and wrong about your place in the galaxy. Admiral, we all make mistakes. What matters is what we do next. Koral nodded slowly. The Coalition would be honored to offer Earth full membership, with representation proportionate to your contribution to galactic security. We have much to learn from human tactical thinking and technology. Elena looked out at the debris field that had once been the galaxy's greatest threat. We accept, Admiral, but we have conditions. No more species gets dismissed as primitive without being given a chance to prove themselves. The galaxy is big enough for all of us to find our own way to contribute. The new Galactic Order. 3 months later, Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the Coalition capital world of Centauri Prime. The building was a perfect blend of human architecture and alien technology, symbolizing the new partnership between Earth and the galactic community. Commander Chen entered her office, now wearing the insignia of Coalition Fleet Admiral. Elena, the first joint training exercises are beginning next week. 17 different species have requested to learn human tactical doctrines. Elena looked out the window at the bustling alien city below. Marcus, 6 months ago, these same species wouldn't even acknowledge our existence. Now they want to learn from us. That's what happens when you prove that being different isn't the same as being inferior, Chen replied. The Void Hunters made the same mistake everyone else did. They assumed that because our technology looked primitive, our thinking was primitive too. Elena nodded. The victory over the Void Hunters had taught the galaxy an important lesson. Raw power wasn't always the answer. Sometimes the key to victory was looking at problems from a completely new perspective. Any word from the deep space exploration teams? She asked. They found 17 more predecessor sites across the galaxy. It turns out Earth wasn't the only world they visited. The archaeological teams think we might find the answers to what happened to them. Elena smiled. The galaxy was full of mysteries waiting to be solved, and humanity was finally being invited to help find the answers. The species that had once been dismissed as upstart primitives were now recognized as equals, valued for their unique perspective and innovative thinking. As she watched alien children playing in the plaza below while their parents conducted business with human diplomats, Elena realized that the real victory hadn't been defeating the Void Hunters. The real victory had been proving that diversity of thought and approach made the galaxy stronger, not weaker. The ancient threat was gone, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning, and this time they wouldn't be facing it alone.